Today, we're going to talk about why we care so much about your money and where it came from. I get asked quite often, why do you care so much? It was my cash, it was my paycheck, it was my deposit, somebody owed me money. It kind of feels invasive. It feels like unnecessary. People do feel attacked. In the mortgage world, the money has to tell a story. We have to figure that all out and be able to explain it to an underwriter. The first thing we're going to talk about is the assets that we have to actually prove in the transaction. There's a reason why we have to have assets. Down payment, if you're bringing money to the closing table, reserves. So if you're in a situation where we have to make sure you have extra funds left over in your bank account after you've closed on the loan, maybe your credit scores are lower, maybe your debt to income ratio is a little bit higher, and we have to make sure that those assets are verified. Having closing costs paid for. I think that's really the top reasons why we as a mortgage lender would need to have assets verified. Sometimes it causes issues with clients because they'll give me 5 different bank accounts and 2 different 401ks and all these different assets because they want to look really good on paper. And that's all fine and dandy. Everything that we put in the file, all the paperwork that we have to verify, all of it to perfection. And if I only need one of those accounts, I'm going to pull everything else out. Unless there's obviously something we should be worried about with fraud or something. But if it's just a matter of we want to source all the money you probably have access to, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I don't want to have extra paperwork that we give to the underwriter. I don't want to have to jump through all those hoops. So, in the event that you give a bunch of different assets or have a different bank account that we just don't have on the application, don't panic. Obviously, my job is to make sure that we have all of our checks and balances and that we're not having some weird things go on in an asset account. So, of course, we're going to just scan things to make sure that there's nothing weird or fishy going on. But at the end of the day, I don't want more than what I have to paper trail. It's just a lot by the time we beat everybody up with all the other aspects of the loan. So, having the money in your bank account is one thing. That is definitely something we have to make sure that we have in your bank account. But where it comes from comes down to the next line. If it's just a pay stub or a payroll deposit, if you just show that you've received an income from your automatic deposit for your paycheck, it is what it is. If it shows as an IRS tax refund and you've got that and it shows stars or something like that, it is what it is. If it shows as a child support receipt, there's usually something in there from state of Idaho H&W for health and welfare. That's verified with what it is. But if you just have a random share deposit and we need those assets for closing, so you have a $2,000 deposit that's just randomly put in there, and that $2,000 is going to go towards the money we need for closing. I have to verify where that came from. Super annoying. And it could come down to the fact that you do little side jobs and you have the ability to put extra money in your bank account. All right, well, if that's the case, that's okay. Provide the invoice, provide a copy of the check, provide some sort of a work order, something that paper trails where that $2,000 came from. It's just critical. The problem that we run into is when you do not document that money, the obvious thing is you're clearly borrowing money. You took a draw of $2,000 off of a credit card and put it into your bank account so you had it for a down payment. Now, that's a big no. We can't do that. You cannot use unsecured debt to be able to buy a house. It's just not allowed. If it's a matter of I borrowed money from my dad and I'm going to pay him back, all right, then we have to deal with that. If it's a gift, we have to deal with that. So we just have to make sure that any of the money that's over a certain dollar amount of your payroll, your income, we have to verify where it came from to make sure we can use it into the transaction. Cash is not king when it comes to the mortgage world. I absolutely love people when they stash cash in their quote unquote mattress and whatever has happened that they've gathered that money. I personally, when I use my debit card, there was a period of time that I'd go to the grocery store and I'd get $10 cash back or $20 cash back on those grocery transactions. And then I would shove that cash in just a rainy day fund. That was an easy way to nickel and dime my bank account without it really hitting it hard. And I had a whole bunch of cash stashed. Well, over a period of time, quite a bit of a period of time, say you have $1,000 sitting in an envelope in your basement. I have no way to paper trail I took that out of my bank account. No way. I can see that I went to XYZ grocery store and that it was charged $55, but they don't know 35 of that was my groceries and 20 of that was coming back to me. Sure, I could potentially have kept all my receipts from grocery shopping, but more than likely I probably didn't. The cash piece of that is really hard. Each program, FHA and conventional, have different feelings about it. FHA will actually let us use cash as a deposit. We just have some hoops we've got to go through to paper trail that. But I can guarantee this, if you have been stashing cash over this period of time, anticipating buying a house, and you are needing to use that for the purchase of your home, get a bank account, get a savings account. dump that money into that savings account. Let it sit there. Just get it dumped in there. And after 2 months, we don't paper trail it. It's been seasoned at that point. It's been in that account long enough that we don't care about it. Now, in that 2-month transaction history, if we show an $8,000 deposit as a starting balance in that savings account, we're going to have to paper trail where that came from. See how annoying it gets? It's just, if this and this and money chasing here, and it's just super annoying. I know the rules. It's just really hard sometimes because clients are like, wait a minute, why? And I understand the frustration. And so back to that, if you have a bunch of cash and you're thinking about buying your house, get it into a bank account you don't touch. If it's a savings account that's sitting dormant, maybe it has $5 in it, it's just sitting there dormant, great. Dump that money in. But then no, we've got 2 months that we've got to have that sit in that account before we have to really paper trail where it came from. A unique situation to use cash. So if you do have that situation and you are like, I'm not really ready to buy a house right now, but I do have cash and I do need to get it in my bank account. Let me walk you through what you need to do to get that into your account so that it's all ready to go. And then you're not going to be annoyed with me. Nobody wants to be annoyed with me. Nobody, I promise. Now, if we do have large deposits, there are acceptable places we can get funds from. Maybe I sell a car that I didn't owe any money on, or I had a lot of equity in, a boat, a camp trailer, a regular trailer that I haul like a dirt bike on, my gun collection, jewelry, furniture, things like that. We actually have the ability to paper trail. All right, well, they sold this. This is where that money came from. We just paper trail where that money came from. And it's okay if you received cash from the person that bought it. We just have to paper trail why you had that large amount of cash. The next thing is wedding and graduations. There's a situation with graduations and weddings. Here's a bunch of cash that I've got. The only thing I have to document it is my grandma gave me $20, my grandpa gave me 10, my aunt gave me $50. And by the time you get done, you could have a couple $1,000s worth of just random undocumentable cash. Well, we just put a copy of your wedding announcement in that loan file and write a letter of explanation as to where that cash came from. Pretty simple. Same thing with graduation. I don't know how many high school graduates are running into buying a home as soon as they graduate from high school. There are college graduates, though, that they do get gift from family members just from the graduation of their college. Either way, we have a way to document if you're graduating from college or high school, or if you're getting married. You can also take money out of your 401k. If you have money in a 401k, your retirement, and you want to borrow against that, obviously that's your choice after talking to your financial advisor. Also, getting any bonuses or commissions, we can use that. Gift funds are also an option. Gift funds are their own little, oh, they're such a fun beast. It's awesome if your family member is willing to gift you money. It's not awesome when we have to beat up the family member for proving that they had the ability to give you the money. And that gets a little bit hard. I'm an advocate for helping kids get on their feet. I really am. If you're a parent that you have the ability to financially help your kids take that first step into home ownership, I'm very much of an advocate for that. But you have to know, as a parent and as a child, if you do accept a gift, we have to prove that that actually came from the donor. Because you think about it this way, this is the fraudulent side. And this is why we have to be super careful, because the bad apple has done this before and we have to be super careful. So walk down this path with me. My dad is going to gift me 10 grand. That's great. And I miraculously have 10 grand deposited into my bank account, and my dad signs a gift letter. And great, that's fine and dandy. But what if you took a $10,000 cash advance off your credit card? What if you got a loan against your car for $10,000? Both of those things are no-nos. Now, getting a loan off of your car, not necessarily a problem as long as we've documented that monthly payment. Taking a cash advance off your credit card is a problem, even if we document that payment. So you've just got to be very cautious that gift funds are appropriately paper trailed. That means if dad gave you 10 grand, I have to have some sort of a screenshot or something showing that dad actually gave us that money. Just plain and simple the way that it is. If you need something boring to read at night, you should look up anti-money laundering. It's just sad. It's really sad that we even have to have that class. It's really sad that we even have to go through all of that. But the reason why we have to verify everything that we do in our bank accounts is because of anti-money laundering. People are actually wicked with money. Terrible. We have to make sure that that money is actually, first of all, real money. Second of all, it came from an okay source. I always laugh when people say, oh my gosh, I have some cash I deposited in my bank account. Why do I have to paper trail it? Well, because we have to make sure you're not printing it in your basement, and we have to make sure you're not selling drugs to kids on the corner. That's what it is. It does make people laugh, but sadly, that's the reality. You're not printing money in the basement, and you're not doing some fraudulent activities that's warranting your ability to get a bunch of cash. You have to verify that you have these paper trails of cash. It's sad that cash, which is actually the actual tangible asset, has become so dirty. The anti-money laundering pieces of cash, it's just sad. It's just really sad that the bad apples have turned something into just something so bad. It's just bad. It's just frustrating. When you do a purchase contract, you're going to have earnest money. That's your skin in the game. That's the money that you put down to basically say, yep, I'm going to bind this contract and I'm going to do my part to get my financing. We have to verify that earnest money cleared your account because we're crediting it to you. At the time of closing, the money you put down for earnest money is crediting to you somewhere, either towards your down payment or towards closing fees, or even in some cases on USDA and VA and some FHA programs, you can get some of that earnest money back. So we clearly have to prove that you put it in so that we can give it back to you, whether it's a credit so you don't have to bring as much to closing, or it's a credit and you're actually getting some of that money back. Earnest money is a requirement of a purchase contract. I don't know real estate law, but I do know that earnest money is on 99.9% of my transactions. And the ones that don't have it are for sell by owners that are buying from their family members. They don't really care about earnest money. Not very often do we have that happen. Really, at the end of the day, this protects you as a consumer. Paper trail and money is frustrating, but it's really going to help prevent financial fraud, really. Undisclosed debt, making sure that we've got everything, and really setting you up that you're going to have a sustainable home ownership. We want to make sure that you can sustain this new home loan, that you can actually make this payment and you can actually enjoy home ownership. We never want to put you in a position that you resent it or you can't afford it. And that means we have to make sure you have enough income. That means you have to make sure that the assets that we put in aren't going to cause any type of a financial hardship on you. It's just mandatory. It's a requirement. There's a few things that we need to just have as our top list of do not do if you're thinking about buying a house. Don't move your money around. It's okay if we have a savings account that has 4,000 and a checking account that has 2,000 and another savings account that has 2,000. We add those all together and see if we can document that we have the money that we need for closing. You don't want to move the money. We don't need to move it from this checking to this savings into that savings. We don't have to move all of it around. So just leave it where it's at. Of course, we talked about avoiding large cash deposits. If you have something going on that you need to deposit large cash, don't do it until you've talked to me so we can make sure that we get you taken care of. Obviously, I'm going to make sure it's not from a fraudulent situation, but I'm also going to help you paper trail what goes on with that. So large cash deposits, don't just deposit it because there's no going back. Once it's deposited, we have to deal with it. Essentially, clean money makes clean loans. Let's just make sure that whatever we're doing in our bank account with money, it's clean. We're not doing anything crazy. We're not doing anything shady. Nobody wants shady. Nobody wants crazy. Nobody really wants to go to the black pearly gates and sit behind black and white stripes or orange, whatever your favorite color is that the jail cells have. Nobody wants to be there. So let's make sure we keep you out of there. At the end of the day, we have to verify that the money is real and we have to verify the story behind it. So don't get frustrated. Just prepare. If you are doing everything on the uppity up, it's annoying, but it shouldn't make you angry. You can be annoyed. I'm annoyed. The underwriter's annoyed. But just don't be angry because the reality behind it is like every industry, the bad apples have made it bad for everybody. So now we have to do these extra steps for the asset piece of it. But where we're bringing money to the closing table, we have to do our due diligence to make sure it's clean money and to make sure that you're not going to get yourself in any type of financial trouble by moving too much money from the wrong sources. Gift funds, assets from 401ks, all those things, we have to paper trail it all. So when it comes to assets, it's super annoying sometimes. Sometimes it's just not that big of a deal because you're boring. Stay boring. Don't go be moving money around. I just want you to remember one thing. Small decisions that we make today lead to front doors tomorrow. So let's just make sure that whatever you're doing in your day-to-day life, whether it's gathering money, stashing cash, just make sure those little decisions are heading you towards the front door that you hope to have one day in your life. Mortgage Queen out.